Imagine a tranquil, sunlit city where birds sing, children laugh, and people go about their daily lives. Suddenly, the sky darkens, and the ground shakes violently. Buildings crumble, people scream, and chaos ensues. In a world where peace is but an illusion, where the lines between hope and despair blur, a question lingers in the air. Are we prepared for the end of the world? The apocalypse, as prophesied in the Bible, is not just a tale of despair, but a profound message of hope and redemption. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of the end times and discover how they relate to us today. From the turmoil of today's world to the prophetic words of Scripture, the signs are everywhere. Let us explore the biblical narrative of the apocalypse, a story that transcends time and speaks directly to our hearts. What will happen when the final day arrives? The answers lie in the ancient texts, waiting to be discovered by those who seek the truth. Welcome to our in-depth exploration of one of the most intriguing and often misunderstood topics in religious studies, the apocalypse. Over the next minutes, we will embark on a journey through biblical prophecy, unraveling the mysteries and meanings behind the end times as described in various religious texts, with a particular focus on the Christian Bible. Whether you are a believer, a skeptic, or simply curious, this journey promises to be both enlightening and thought-provoking. The term apocalypse comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, which means revelation or unveiling. In the context of biblical prophecy, the apocalypse refers to the end of the world as we know it, marked by catastrophic events and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. The book of Revelation, the final book of the New Testament, is the primary source of apocalyptic imagery in Christianity. The apocalypse is not just about destruction, it is also about renewal and the establishment of a new heaven and a new earth. It is a time of judgment where the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished. This dual nature of the apocalypse, both terrifying and hopeful, has captivated the imagination of believers and non-believers alike for centuries. The apocalypse is a complex and multifaceted concept, filled with both dread and hope. Whether you view it as a literal future event or a symbolic representation of spiritual truths, the apocalypse remains a powerful and enduring part of human culture and belief. Understanding the apocalypse. To truly understand the apocalypse, we must delve into its origins and significance within the broader context of biblical prophecy. The book of Revelation, attributed to the Apostle John, was written during a time of great persecution for early Christians. It served as a message of hope and encouragement, assuring believers that despite their current sufferings, ultimate victory and justice would prevail. The book is rich in symbolism and metaphor, using vivid imagery to convey spiritual truths. The number 7, for instance, is a recurring theme representing completeness and perfection. The 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls all point to the comprehensive and final nature of the events described. The apocalypse is not merely a future event, but a spiritual reality that intersects with our present lives. It calls us to examine our faith, our actions, and our readiness for the ultimate judgment. Throughout history, the apocalypse has been interpreted in various ways, reflecting the cultural, political, and religious contexts of different eras. Some interpretations focus on the literal fulfillment of prophecies, while others see the apocalypse as a symbolic representation of the ongoing struggle between good and evil. Regardless of the interpretation, the apocalypse remains a powerful reminder of the ultimate consequences of our choices and the promise of a better world to come. As we explore the different aspects of the apocalypse, we will see how these interpretations have shaped our understanding of the end times and their relevance to our lives today. The apocalypse is not just a story of destruction, but a narrative of redemption and hope. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is a promise of renewal and a new beginning. This journey through biblical prophecy will take us through the terrifying visions of the end times to the glorious promise of the New Jerusalem. Key figures and events. Several key figures and events are central to the biblical narrative of the apocalypse. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, for instance, represent conquest, war, famine, and death. These horsemen are often seen as symbols of the trials and tribulations that will befall humanity in the end times. The first horseman, riding a white horse, symbolizes conquest and the spread of false prophets. The second horseman, on a red horse, brings war and conflict. The third horseman, on a black horse, represents famine and economic hardship. The fourth horseman, on a pale horse, brings death and pestilence. Together, these horsemen signify the widespread suffering and chaos that will precede the end times. The Antichrist is another pivotal figure, often depicted as a charismatic leader who will deceive many and bring about great suffering. The Antichrist is opposed by the forces of good, led by the returning Christ, who will ultimately defeat evil and establish a new kingdom. The Antichrist is often associated with the number 666, a symbol of imperfection and evil. His rise to power is marked by false miracles and deceptions, leading many astray. The Battle of Armageddon is the climactic event where the forces of good and evil clash in a final, decisive battle. This battle is often seen as a metaphor for the spiritual struggle between righteousness and sin. Armageddon, derived from the Hebrew Har-Megiddo, refers to a valley in Israel where ancient battles were fought. In the context of the apocalypse, it symbolizes the ultimate showdown between the forces of light and darkness. The Battle of Armageddon is described in vivid detail, with armies gathering from all nations to wage war against each other. The outcome of this battle is the triumph of good over evil, marking the beginning of a new era of peace and justice. Other key figures include the two witnesses who prophesied during the tribulation and are eventually martyred, and the woman clothed with the sun, who represents the persecuted church or the people of God. These figures add depth and complexity to the apocalyptic narrative, highlighting the themes of faith, perseverance, and ultimate victory. The seven seals, trumpets, and bowls. The book of Revelation describes a series of 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls, each representing a different set of judgments and calamities. The opening of each seal, the sounding of each trumpet, and the pouring out of each bowl brings forth a new wave of destruction and suffering. The 7 seals are the first set of judgments, unleashing the 4 horsemen, and culminating in a great earthquake and cosmic disturbances. The first seal reveals the white horse of conquest, the second seal, the red horse of war, the third seal, the black horse of famine, and the fourth seal, the pale horse of death. The fifth seal shows the souls of the martyrs crying out for justice, and the sixth seal brings about catastrophic events such as earthquakes, darkening of the sun, and the moon turning to blood. The seventh seal introduces the 7 trumpets, which bring forth a new series of judgments. The first trumpet causes hail and fire mixed with blood to fall on the earth, burning a third of the trees and green grass. The second trumpet turns a third of the sea into blood, killing a third of the sea creatures and destroying a third of the ships. The third trumpet poisons a third of the rivers and springs, turning them into wormwood and causing many to die. The fourth trumpet darkens a third of the sun, moon, and stars, bringing partial darkness to the earth. The fifth trumpet releases a plague of locusts that torment those who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. The sixth trumpet unleashes an army of 200 million horsemen who kill a third of mankind with fire, smoke, and sulfur. The seventh trumpet announces the reign of God and the establishment of his kingdom, but it also introduces the 7 bowls of God's wrath. The 7 bowls, also known as the 7 plagues, culminate in the final judgment and the destruction of Babylon, a symbol of worldly corruption and sin. The first bowl turns the sea into blood, killing every living thing in it. The second bowl turns the rivers and springs into blood. The third bowl turns the rivers and springs into blood, leading to the death of many. The fourth bowl causes the sun to scorch people with intense heat. The fifth bowl brings darkness and pain to the kingdom of the beast. The sixth bowl dries up the Euphrates River, preparing the way for the kings of the east. The seventh bowl brings about the final judgment with a great earthquake, hailstones, and the destruction of Babylon. These judgments serve as a reminder of the consequences of sin and the ultimate justice of God. The millennium and the New Jerusalem. After the tribulations and judgments, the book of Revelation describes a period of peace and prosperity known as the millennium. During this 1,000-year reign of Christ, the earth will be restored and justice will prevail. This is followed by the final judgment, where all souls are judged according to their deeds. The millennium is a time of renewal and restoration, where the earth is freed from the influence of evil and the righteous reign with Christ. It is a period of peace, prosperity, and the fulfillment of God's promises to his people. The millennium is often seen as a symbol of the ultimate victory of good over evil and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. During this time, the devil is bound and cast into the bottomless pit, unable to deceive the nation. The saints who have been martyred for their faith are resurrected and reign with Christ for 1,000 years. The millennium culminates in the final judgment, where all souls are judged according to their deeds. The dead, both small and great, stand before God, and the books are opened, including the book of life. Those whose names are not found in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire, symbolizing the second death. This final judgment is a time of ultimate accountability, where every person is judged based on their actions and the choices they have made. The culmination of the apocalypse is the descent of the New Jerusalem from heaven, a city described in glorious detail as a place of eternal peace and joy. This new heaven and new earth represent the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises and the establishment of a perfect eternal kingdom. The New Jerusalem is a city of immense beauty and splendor, with walls of jasper, streets of gold, and gates of pearl. It is a place where there is no more death, mourning, crying, or pain, for the former things have passed away. The New Jerusalem is a symbol of the ultimate redemption and renewal, where God dwells with his people and they live in perfect harmony and peace. This vision of the New Jerusalem serves as a powerful reminder of the hope and promise that lie beyond the trials and tribulations of the end time. It is a beacon of light in the midst of darkness, offering a glimpse of the eternal joy and peace that await the faithful. Interpretations and theological debates. The interpretation of apocalyptic prophecy has been a subject of intense debate among theologians and scholars. Different Christian denominations hold varying views on the timing and nature of the apocalypse. Some believe in a literal interpretation, where the events described will unfold exactly as written. Others see the apocalypse as a symbolic representation of spiritual truths and the ongoing struggle between good and evil. Premillennialism, postmillennialism, and amillennialism are three major interpretations of the millennium. Premillennialists believe that Christ will return before the millennium, ushering in a 1,000-year reign of peace and justice. This view emphasizes the literal fulfillment of prophecies and the physical return of Christ to establish his kingdom on earth. Postmillennialists believe that Christ will return after the millennium, following a period of gradual improvement and the spread of the gospel. This view sees the millennium as a time of spiritual and moral progress, culminating in the second coming of Christ. Amillennialists interpret the millennium as a symbolic representation of the current church age, where Christ reigns spiritually with his people. This view focuses on the spiritual fulfillment of prophecies and the ongoing struggle between good and evil. Each of these interpretations offers a unique perspective on the apocalypse and its relevance to our lives today. Premillennialism emphasizes the imminent return of Christ and the literal fulfillment of prophecies, offering a sense of urgency and expectation. Postmillennialism highlights the role of the church in bringing about spiritual and moral progress, emphasizing the importance of evangelism and social justice. Amillennialism focuses on the spiritual reality of Christ's reign and the ongoing struggle between good and evil, offering a more symbolic and spiritual interpretation of the apocalypse. Despite these differences, all interpretations share a common theme of hope and redemption. The apocalypse is not just a story of destruction, but a narrative of ultimate victory and the establishment of a new heaven and a new earth. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is a promise of renewal and a new beginning. As we explore these interpretations, we gain a deeper understanding of the end times and their significance for our lives today. The apocalypse serves as a reminder of the ultimate consequences of our choices and the promise of a better world to come. The apocalypse in popular culture. The apocalypse has had a profound impact on popular culture, inspiring countless works of literature, art, film, and music. From the epic poetry of Dante's Inferno to the dystopian landscapes of modern science fiction, the imagery and themes of the apocalypse continue to resonate with audiences worldwide. Apocalyptic narratives often explore themes of hope, redemption, and the human capacity for endurance in the face of adversity. They remind us of the fragility of our world and the importance of living virtuous lives. The apocalypse has been a recurring theme in literature, with works such as The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, Paradise Lost by John Milton, and The Stand by Stephen King, exploring the end times and the struggle between good and evil. These works delve into the complexities of human nature, the consequences of sin, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. In art, the apocalypse has been depicted in various forms, from the intricate illustrations of medieval manuscripts to the dramatic paintings of the Renaissance. Artists such as Albrecht Dürer and Hieronymus Bosch have created vivid and often disturbing images of the end times, capturing the terror and hope of the apocalypse. In film, the apocalypse has been a popular subject, with movies such as The Omega Man, The Road, and Mad Max, exploring post-apocalyptic worlds and the human struggle for survival. These films often depict a world ravaged by war, disease, or environmental catastrophe, where the remnants of humanity must fight to survive and rebuild. In music, the apocalypse has inspired a wide range of genres, from classical compositions to heavy metal and hip-hop. Songs such as The End by The Doors, It's the End of the World as We Know It by REM, and 2112 by Rush explore the themes of the end times and the human response to impending doom. These works of popular culture serve as a reflection of our collective fears and hopes, offering a glimpse into the human psyche and our fascination with the end of the world. The apocalypse in popular culture reminds us of the fragility of our existence and the importance of living meaningful and virtuous lives. It encourages us to reflect on our actions and the choices we make, highlighting the ultimate consequences of our decisions. Personal and spiritual implications. For many believers, the apocalypse serves as a reminder of the ultimate consequences of our actions and the importance of living in accordance with divine principles. It encourages reflection on our own lives and the choices we make. The apocalypse is not just a future event, but a spiritual reality that intersects with our present lives. It calls us to examine our faith, our actions, and our readiness for the ultimate judgment. The apocalypse offers a message of hope and reassurance. Despite the trials and tribulations of this world, there is a promise of a better future, a new heaven and a new earth where justice and peace will reign. This message of hope is a powerful reminder of the ultimate victory of good over evil and the establishment of God's kingdom. It encourages us to live with compassion, justice, and hope, always striving for a better world and a brighter future. The apocalypse also serves as a call to action, urging us to live in accordance with divine principles and to prepare for the ultimate judgment. It reminds us of the importance of living virtuous lives, seeking forgiveness for our sins, and striving for spiritual growth. The apocalypse is a powerful reminder of the ultimate consequences of our choices and the promise of a better world to come. It encourages us to live with compassion, justice, and hope, always striving for a better world and a brighter future. As we reflect on the apocalypse and its implications for our lives, we are reminded of the importance of living in accordance with divine principles and preparing for the ultimate judgment. The apocalypse is not just a story of destruction, but a narrative of redemption and hope. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is a promise of renewal and a new beginning. This journey through biblical prophecy has taken us from the terrifying visions of the four horsemen to the glorious promise of the New Jerusalem. The apocalypse is a complex and multifaceted concept, filled with both dread and hope. Whether you view it as a literal future event or a symbolic representation of spiritual truths, the apocalypse remains a powerful and enduring part of human culture and belief. As we conclude our exploration of the apocalypse, a journey through biblical prophecy, we are left with a deeper understanding of the end times and the eternal struggle between good and evil. The apocalypse is not just a tale of destruction, but a profound message of hope and redemption. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is a promise of renewal and a new beginning. Whether you view the apocalypse as a literal future event or a symbolic representation of spiritual truths, it remains a powerful and enduring part of human culture and belief. As we reflect on the apocalypse and its implications for our lives, we are reminded of the importance of living in accordance with divine principles and preparing for the ultimate judgment. The apocalypse encourages us to live with compassion, justice, and hope, always striving for a better world and a brighter future. May this knowledge inspire us to live virtuous lives, seek forgiveness for our sins, and strive for spiritual growth. The apocalypse is a call to action, urging us to examine our faith, our actions, and our readiness for the ultimate judgment. It is a reminder of the ultimate consequences of our choices and the promise of a better world to come. As we conclude our journey through biblical prophecy, we are left with a sense of hope and reassurance. Despite the trials and tribulations of this world, there is a promise of a new heaven and a new earth where justice and peace will reign. May this knowledge inspire us to live with compassion, justice, and hope, always striving for a better world and a brighter future. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the apocalypse, a journey through biblical prophecy.